a new kid on the block. And I think we've established ourselves as a key factor in this whole process.
Do you think the movement for democratic change, as by all indications is that they're leading, will they give some sort of acknowledgement of what the appearance of Simba Makoni in the political space, particularly the campaigning space, what that appearance, what effect it had on the number of people who went out to vote?
Yes, they acknowledge that, and as I hope that most Zimbabweans will do likewise. Our entry into the race helped to dispel the culture of fear among Zimbabweans. And maybe people have forgotten, but I think a few months ago it would have been inconceivable that anybody would have stood up the way we did to challenge the establishment.
You said you were a key factor. How do you mean that, and was that the strategy for you?
Yeah, the strategy for us was mainly to get the country moving forward, to break the impasse, and most of all to ensure that Mugabe departs from the scene, which demand had been made within ZANU-PF, but ZANU-PF had failed. And we think that our initiative in the first instance has managed to effect that process.
What role are you...
Even if the ZANU-PF demagogues deny that, they are very happy that we took the initiative that we did.
What role are you going to play now, particularly with looking at the way forward?
First, we are critical in terms of the runoff, if there's a runoff. The 8-10% is a key factor. With that 10%, Mugabe may have declared himself a winner. And likewise, MDC, they need us.
Are you going to throw your weight behind Tsvangirai?
Well, I think basically we would it would be consistent with our mandate to ensure that there's movement with respect to leadership, that Mugabe goes. We would, speaking for myself, I think we should support a runoff in which ensures that Mugabe leaves the scene.
You say you're anti the runoff. Just let's look at the breakdown of the results as they came in last night, and perhaps at how that can be tweaked around to make sure that you avoid the runoff.
Well, I'm told the runoff is almost definite. The MDC claimed over the last 3 days that they had won, but the more they spoke about winning without producing the evidence, one began to doubt that they had that information. But I'm told from both within the MDC and ZANU-PF circles that it's a runoff. I don't know what you know, but I've heard it's a runoff.
The 10 seats that have been declared for opposition, they are claimed to be for the Arthur Mutambara camp. But there's also talk that they're not necessarily like that. One seat has been declared for independents, but those seats might also be thrown into the independent pool. How does it work?
Well, we had an arrangement with Arthur Mutambara's group at the outset. And we would say, in as far as with a working arrangement, those 10 seats are also our seats together with Mutambara.
But how would that pan out in terms of their operation within Parliament?
Well, I'm saying that basically, as it appears at the moment, vis-a-vis ZANU-PF, MDC has a majority of 2. But it cannot be a majority factor without looking at the independents. So the independents, as few as they are, 11, are a key factor in any legislative process. And I'm sure both ZANU-PF and MDC recognize that.
You went into campaigning without declaring an official political party. Are we going to see that change?
Almost definitely. There are a number of alternatives. Some of us think we should form a patriotic front, which goes back to the days of the struggle, but also, more important, it is a name that should have been used in 1987 following the ZANU and ZAPU negotiations. But more important, I think it reflects both our history and also our intention to move forward into the 21st century as a political party, which gives a sense of hope, a sense of mission to a political process that has become largely moribund.
With the delay of the results announcement, the rumor mill has gone into overdrive in Zimbabwe. All sorts of stories coming through, and I suppose one of the reasons we have these discussions is just to ascertain some rumors that are making the rounds, and one of them is that if Morgan Tsvangirai becomes president, he will then choose Simba Makoni as his prime minister and perhaps change the structure. Is that fact or not?
I don't know. I think basically if and when the issue of runoff is confirmed, one would expect Morgan Tsvangirai's group to begin talking to us, if they have not already begun doing so. And we would have to agree on some kind of a framework with regard to particular issues that concern this country. One of them, in my view, is the issue of land. We are hearing that many people think out there that there can be reversal of land policy. We want no reversal of land policy. On the contrary, we want an effective implementation of the policy to ensure that the rural people, the peasantry, benefit from land reform. But any suggestion that we would be reversing and giving land back to the whites is something that we like to agree with MDC that's not on. Secondly, we like to look at the issue of the constitution. MDC itself signed an agreement with ZANU-PF, I believe, in September, with the help of Mbeki, and would have gone into the elections if they had their way, with the constitution having been put in place. Now, given that, the constitution becomes a priority, and when MDC talks about a constitution in 2 years, we say no. The constitution as soon as possible, within this year. That's our position. We feel the constitutional issue is important. The third issue would be which is linked to the land issue, economic policy. We need to deal with immediate tasks such as water, sanitation, energy, fuel, to the short-term education and health. We'd like to agree on those parameters with anybody that we're going to support in the
Why would the Movement for Democratic Change be compelled to talk to you? It was a struggle to bring them together with affection within the party.
I think whether this was intended by those who designed the electoral law the way it is, I think the whole principle of runoff, as is done in France and other countries, provides the opportunity for various factors to discuss. The runoff principle, in my view, enables a country to draw some kind of consensus, national consensus.
Have such discussions started?
I think informally they have. They have, yes, necessarily so.
Can you give us details?
We can't give you details now, but that would be betraying confidences. But I would say that basically discussions have begun, or approach have begun from both the MDC side as well as on ZANU-PF side. And from ZANU-PF side, we are saying to them informally that, as you know why we left, and formed.
I would imagine that talking to ZANU-PF would be a bit precarious for the Mavambo initiative.
It isn't. When we know that most people in ZANU-PF support us, we know that.
Well, that's one of the things the electorate was watching out for pre-election, to say, would they go back to ZANU-PF?
No, we don't go back to anything. We would hope that people come into the new formation with ourselves, with something with a mission, with a vision. And ZANU-PF has become a Band. They are divided. They are splintering as we're talking. There is no critical mass, notwithstanding the fact that they have some 97 members of parliament. But these are disparate groups. They're not a holistic formation anymore.
When do you think the presidential results will be officially announced?
I don't know. I thought the SABC would know better. I don't know. I don't think it matters now, because, as I said, I'm told from both parties, MDC and ZANU-PF, that it's a runoff.
Well, Dr. Ibbo Mandaza, thank you so much for making the time to come through to talk to us.
Thanks, Desiree. Thank you.